Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in this Tuesday afternoon. Pleasure to have you. Very excited to be here. My name is Jonah. I'm from Discover, and today we have Julia McCoy joining us. Before we get into anything or get started here, please pop in the chat. Let us know if you hear us, see us all right. Julia, can you give a little wave or hello to the audio and video now?
Hey, hey.
Hear you good. Feel free as well to call out maybe where you're tuning in from, how you heard about Julia, how you heard about Discover, something you're excited to learn today. We love hearing all of those things. And also just set a couple expectations if Julia is moving quick through anything, or the dog comes in the room, or you have to go shop milk or something. Don't worry, there will be a replay available. Who knows what life throws you, right?
Right?
There will be a replay available. It'll be on the YouTube page, the Discover event page, and it'll also be emailed to you with the course offer. So don't fret. All of this will be available for you later. And also, feel free to drop questions in the chat as we're going, although we will have a dedicated Q&A near the end of the event after Julia's presentation. So if you can hold on to the question, do. If you just can't wait, pop it in there and we'll try and address it as we go. Let's just give a formal introduction here. Like I said, we have Julia McCoy, and she is going to be teaching us how to become a highly paid content creator. A couple things we can expect to learn today. We're going to learn how to turn our passion into a marketable skill. We're going to learn what we need to do if we want to take our job to the next level, and how to build a powerful morning mindset routine that guarantees a great day and the income possibilities of a content creator in 2021. Little background on Julia. Julia McCoy is a serial entrepreneur, content marketing strategist, and a passionate advocate of using content to build a business. Back in 2011, she founded a writing agency, Express Writers, after dropping out of college with nothing but a hope, dream, and $75. She also runs the Content Hacker, where she teaches everything she knows. Julia, I don't want to take up any more time and want to dive into this, so I'm going to hand it over to you.
Amazing. Well, it can't get any better than that intro. So thank you, Jonah.
Of course, of course.
Nothing better than a pep talk before you give your actual talk. But let us get straight into it. So I'm going to go ahead and make my slides full screen here. All right. So this is a completely new workshop that I am really thrilled to bring to you guys today. It's called Writing Saved My Life, literally. And it's all about, as Jonah was saying, how to become a highly paid content creator. And this is whether you work for someone or you build your own brand, or you do both, because some of us do that. And before we get any further, just a little bit of housekeeping. There are some slides coming up with data, right? So if you're on that little mobile screen, sometimes that can be pretty hard to see. So we've copied those slides into a downloadable worksheet that you can actually grab right now. I believe Jonah will put that in the chat. It's also here on screen at contenthacker.com/passion worksheet. And it's a recap of our talk, plus it's a question list to help you kind of uncover your passion based on what we're going to talk about. Okay, so today's big question that we're going to try to answer is, can discovering your passion lead to a life of freedom and joy? And incidentally, I am living proof that it can. And I know I am one of many, right? There are so many amazing people we know that have had starts in life similar to this, but this is a true story. 9 years ago, I escaped a real life cult. And when you hear the word cult, you think long dresses, curfews, sadly abuse. That was my everyday life for 21 years of my life. And in 2012, I picked up everything and I got out in the middle of the night. This was my father's house. He led the cult, he led the church. So I escaped in the middle of the night because I had a lifeline of my writing income that I had built. And I kind of did that at night. You know, it was my side hustle when everybody was sleeping. I was able to still have internet in this cult. It was the only thing I had. And I am so thankful I did, because I am here today, which is just amazing, right? And I want my story to inspire you to think big. I think a lot of us, we don't think as big as we could. Like, what is it you could be doing? How are you reaching your fulfillment today? So it's amazing to look back. And since that day I escaped almost 10 years ago, this is what I've been able to do. We've served almost 5,000 people. I have 5 books out. We have over 100 people at Express Writers. So crazy. I want you to dream big because this is my story. I am a new person from the person that escaped a cult 9 years ago. And if you want that full story, I launched a book in 2020, Woman Rising, A True Story. It's on Amazon and Audible. This project was one of the toughest projects I've ever done, but it was also one of the most rewarding. So if you want a book that will turn the pages and read like a Netflix story, this is that book. You can read it in a weekend. But back to the topic. So as you can already see, writing literally saved my life. It was my lifeline. So it was my lifeline in 2 different ways. First, it was my alternate pathway to escape the reality I was living in as a kid. It was a very difficult reality. It was a reality I didn't want to be born into. I didn't ask for that, but that was my life. That was my present day back then. So I took that alternate reality, the reading, writing, right? That was how I lived. And then I combined that with my passion for the internet. I had this interest and passion for the internet, and I took that, combined it, and I learned how to build my own self-sufficient income stream. I did that in 2011, started with a Google search, how to make money writing, and it took me here today. So this was how I was literally able to escape this cult that I knew my whole life at 21 years old in the middle of the night. So I found freelance writing back in 2011. I started a freelance profile. I applied to gig after gig. I taught myself everything. It was a lot of labor at the beginning, and that was how I honed my skill. And interestingly enough, I was actually able to support my older sister's escape from the cult as well. Those were the days, let me tell you, back in 2012. I can't imagine being there. I'm so thankful to be out here in normal life. Simple things, right? Simple things. So by the time I left in 2012, I was earning over $2,000 a month from my writing clients. Today, that's maybe a so-so income, right? Back then, let me tell you, when I was 19 years old and escaping a cult, it was amazing. I actually grew up on $400 a month. My parents were below poverty level. When you lead a cult, poverty mindset ties in. So unfortunately, that was how my dad lived. So this was amazing for me to have built by myself, and it got me out of that horrific environment. So this is really what it looks like to walk in your gifts and your passion. You're doing something you love. You labor, you get good at it, and then everything grows, kind of like a tree, right? Everything continues to bear new fruit. So your passion, it can be as dramatic as saving your life too, or it can be a little simpler. It can be building your best life. So this comes down to finding what you're good at, what you love doing, and then getting really good at it. The synonym for that is great. You want to get great at it. So my 4 L's to do this, a very simple pathway I've built over the years. This is actually in my new book that came out this February called Skip the Degree, Save the Tuition. It is geared to new graduates because I want to help them see that there is an alternate pathway, but it's also for career dropouts, adults looking for that alternate pathway. I didn't go to college to learn what I did. In fact, I dropped out of college. My parents wanted me to get a degree in nursing. Not at all what I love doing. So this is how I did it. I figured out what I love doing, right? That's your first step. What do you love doing? Then you labor. Then you learn. That's number 2. The third part is labor. After you learn all you can about it, you just have to get your hands dirty. You have to do the work. And then it's time to level up. You can get paid more and you can do more. And that can look like 2 paths. Really, I was talking to someone today earlier that I'm about to mentor, and she's building her team. I said, that is hard. Building a team is very hard. It's actually easier to be a solopreneur, which I recommend if you don't want the stress. So it doesn't always have to look like growing a team. It can be getting paid well for what you do and taking on more work. So we went through those 4 L's, but this is that very simple pathway. Just what is it that you love doing? Learn all you can about it. Don't go to a traditional classroom. Go to real life practitioners. Learn from them. And then roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty. And then do more and charge more. Best part, right? So, a simple way to figure out what you love doing, ask yourself, what did you enjoy the most back in grade or high school? Right? So, we all had different interests. For me, it was always reading and writing. I built my vocabulary. I was reading crazy amounts of books. I mean, living in a cult definitely drove me towards that. It drove me to seek out my passion because my passion was my lifeline. But I bet you didn't grow up in a cult. I mean, some of you may have, I don't know. But if you didn't, you still may have an idea of what you really enjoyed back in school. Ask yourself that. What was it? I have a friend who went through all of high school. The only class she enjoyed was this random accounting class. And her brand, she's an accountant. She has her own brand. She's making tons of money. She's doing what she loves. So that one little class helped her spark her passion. So think back to that. It's very clear what we hated, I think, right? Like I was terrible at math. So that can also kind of help you point back to what you can do or not do. You can know what to avoid. So let's say you always love to write. I know so many people, this is where they start. They're like, I loved to write when I was in high school. What's really cool today, 2021, and even going forward, are the possibilities that come from this one very simple passion. So I have built an income stream that today has made over 5 million from writing. The majority of that money did not go to me. It was paid out to the people in our team, which is amazing. I think it's, very rewarding to be able to provide jobs and hire talented people. So this is the timeline of how I did it. And as we were saying at the beginning, if you're on a mobile screen, quick word to the wise, you can download this at contenthacker.com/passion worksheet, all one word. That way you don't have to squint if you're not on a desktop. But here is the timeline. So this one looks linear, but I'm going to show you something a little different in a minute. But what's important here is that everything was natural, right? I really don't believe in forcing anything. I think that whenever you try to take on something you're not ready for, you try to force yourself to do something you don't really want to do, but maybe it looks like more money, maybe it's enticing. It's not going to be the best route. So I really want to encourage you, once you follow your passion, that path does not look linear. It can look extremely varied. So you can see here in 2011, everything started with that Google search. And then I just kept going. And that's another very important part of this, is that once you find your passion, you have to keep going. It can be so tempting to throw in the towel. You can get negative feedback. You can hear some real, you can get some real life wake up calls from people that have to use your work if you're getting paid. Sometimes that was how I grew, getting those real life calls back from my early clients. Your work is crap, Julie. You need to improve. So along the way, it is hard, right? We get many challenging things thrown at us. The important part is to keep going. And I can tell you, even in 2020, we lost 40% of our income. I was not sure Express Writers was going to make it. There was a month where I was in tears. It was terrible. So we still face troubles. The good news is we kept going and we rebuilt all of that income and then some. So that's what happens when you keep going. But look at this. This is the non-linear pathway of everything else that kind of sprouted from following that path of building this business. So as I built my agency, I heard, all the pain points. Well, how do you do this? Well, I don't really think there's a book on the market. There's no one course that teaches this. Can you teach me it? Whenever I started getting that question, which was about 6 years after I started, I was like, okay, I'm going to write a book. And my first book came out, So You Think You Can Write, The Beginner's Guide to Online Writing, which I just updated actually this year, a couple months ago. So that was not a forced thing. right? Going back to don't push yourself to do something that's not going to be natural, that doesn't naturally stem from your passion and this pathway of love, learn, labor, level up. So, if leveling up comes before learning, well, that's not authentic. So, all of these things need to happen in order naturally. And it can be very simple, actually, to just keep your ears to the ground. Look for pain points if you lead a business, if you work in a position where you're leading a business. Keep your ear to the ground, look at pain points, and think about how you can solve them. And we have people in my agency that work with me. They tell me what the client pain points are, and they help me build solutions. So you don't have to build everything. You don't have to do everything like I did, which is a little, it's daunting. It can be overwhelming to do it all yourself. You don't have to go that route, but this is to open up your mind to the possibilities, whether you're partnering with someone or you're doing it yourself. So the first business, right, in 10 years, about 9 years, actually, we did 5 million in sales. And then in just 3 years, my second business has done over 300,000. And of course, my second business was born after I basically needed a domain name to keep all my stuff at. That's what I told my husband when we were doing it. I was like, I need a domain name for all my stuff. So that's how that business came to be. And those are my books, my courses, the things I'm teaching. So in short, to make your passion make money, you need to map it to a skill set that is marketable. And then you need to get paid. It's that simple. So I want to introduce you to a term that I love. It's recently come on the market. I don't think it's more than a couple years old. And it's called content entrepreneur. So we're living in the age of this type of entrepreneur. And you might be asking yourself, well, who is this? So Joe Pulizzi at The Tilt, he sold his first business, Content Marketing Institute, for something like 30 million a few years ago. And then he's started The Tilt, which focuses on highlighting content entrepreneurs. So these are people that create content to build a successful business. It may start out as a hobby, and then it diversifies and it grows revenue. So before I show you some people that have done this successfully, not just myself, I'm going to show you a bunch of different varieties. You're going to get to learn about fitness, all kinds of categories, foodie, not just entrepreneurship. So how do these people make money? We'll talk about that. But first, let us shatter some myths, the fun part, right? So don't confuse content entrepreneur with overnight YouTube star. I have it on insider information from people that are YouTube influencers. It is harder than ever, actually, to become a YouTube influencer. My goal was to focus on YouTube, and I've actually taken a step back this year because YouTube is dialing down what they pay their creators. So YouTube is not really what we mean. You can still do it. I'm not saying you can't, but this is difficult. So is this one. Becoming an Instagram influencer. I hate to say it, but likes do not pay the bills. And so many people that are engulfed in social media or in that world, they're still stuck in how do I get the most likes? When really it's how do I get revenue? How do I get a consistent stream of revenue? That's the question you want to ask yourself, right? I think we all want the money, not just the likes. So remember that likes, shares, none of that pays the bills. It's a revenue stream that does. So don't get distracted. Before we go into examples, I also want to show you this. LinkedIn just launched a look at the most high demand skills right now in marketing. This just came out. So it's really interesting. The top skills to learn are like press release writing. I wouldn't have guessed. That's number one. And then it's HTML. And over at the Content Hacker, we have a press release writing workshop. So you can learn that skill inside of an hour. And then the fastest growing skills, Instagram, which makes a lot of sense. Instagram is very hot right now. It's a great place to connect with your audience and go far. And then content marketing is the second fastest growing skill, which I personally love because that is what I do. And it's crazy because content strategy itself is only 10 years old. So it's a fairly new industry, but it is one of the three fastest growing skills. And then creative problem solving, which I can tell you, just having 100 people in my team, that is a huge asset. If you know how to solve problems yourself, you can do it creatively. You are such an asset because then we don't have to solve as many problems. We already deal with so many problems, the team leaders, right? So that is a very valuable skill. So if you work for someone, this is valuable knowledge to have. If you're in social media, your social media marketing is any part of your job, content marketing, learn and build that skill, and creative problem solving. And of course, all of those right there, the top fastest growing skills. Okay, so in short, content entrepreneurs, they build content skills and they make money from those skills. So the content marketing industry itself is so hot. It is going to hit $600 billion in spend in 2024. There's going to be so many jobs. I can tell you that as of the last 12 months, this industry was supposed to hit 400 billion and it did, and then some. So this is a great place to be in, whatever it is that you do, whether you work for someone or you build your own brand. So these are some pay rates. If you're thinking about getting into it and you're looking for a salaried position, whether it's web design, copywriting, content marketing, businesses all the time are looking for employees. These are employee positions and contractors. Now, I hire contractors. I really enjoy having fixed projects, and you can take as much or as little as you want instead of salary, which comes with a lot more paperwork and W-2 and all that stuff. So contractors is also another great way to go, especially if you like, for example, you want to take a month off. You can do that much more easily as a contractor. Just pause your clients, right? Come back to them. But the pay rates right now are excellent in this industry. If you're thinking about getting into it, if you're not in it yet, or if you're looking at perhaps a job upgrade or moving into this field. So what do you need to build the content skills that are marketable, that people are willing to pay for? You need two things: the right skills and the right mindset. So these two things put together really make a whole, well-rounded person, a person that has marketable skills. So it's not just the marketable skills that you need, although that's a huge part, right? You can't do it unless you have knowledge. And knowledge comes by building that skill. But you also need a mindset that is growth focused, and we'll talk about that. So first, let's talk about the skills of income earning content creators. So we're going to look at a few different content creators that are earning anywhere on the board from 15,000 a month all the way to that six-figure month. So one of my favorite people in content, he has the most incredible story, is John Morrow. He runs smartblogger.com. So, I escaped a cult. Well, John Morrow, when he was born, the doctors told his mom he would not live more than 2 years. And his mom said, "I will prove you wrong." And John was born with a fighting spirit, and he lived. And then he built this incredible business and reaches millions of people on a regular basis. What I love the most about John is that he has written some of the most read content in the world. And he built this skill. This was not something he guessed. This was not something he just, did on the side. This was a skill he worked very hard to build. So he interned, or I think he just worked for very low pay back in 2011 for Copyblogger, Brian Clark, one of the industry leaders. He had the opportunity to work under him. So his job was to look at all the blogs and to pick the best ones. He actually had to read thousands, and he got really good at looking for good content. He also had to test hundreds of headlines and pick the one that worked. So this was how he honed his skill. He didn't just become the most read blogger in the world. He really fine-tuned that skill. So how could you apply this knowledge, right? This inspirational person that has done this. So again, it's all about that. You find out what you love, you learn all you can about it, you labor, and you level up. So first, you want to pick up the skill. once you know it is what you love, once you know, like, writing is what I love, right? I want to write. How do I do that? So you pick up a real practitioner skill. You get under a mentor, you study under them, and then you just get your hands dirty. You got to start doing it. Even if the work is really terribly tiring at the beginning, right? The feedback may not be the best because you're not there yet. But that's how you do it. There is no shortcut. And it's crazy. We have so many people that apply to write at Express Writers. We have some amazing writers, amazing writers. And we get candidates on a daily basis. And so many of them, unfortunately, don't make it. And whenever I talk to a few of them, we don't have human capacity to answer all of them. But whenever I do talk to some of them, I tell them the skill is not there yet. And it is so simple, guys, to enroll in a course, build your skill, and level up. Like that pathway today, we didn't have that in the 90s, in the 80s. We have that today. I tell writers all the time, go take my SEO writing course, and it's going to like automatically get you in because you're going to build the skill. Not that we're trying to make money off of them, but you can build that skill and literally walk away and have it built. And that's what I teach over at The Content Hacker. One of my courses is an SEO writing course at SEOwritingcourse.com. A few of you listening may already be in that course. But it is so simple to learn a digital skill and get it down because of all the practitioners you can study under today. It's just amazing that we live in that age. So, like I said, I'm going to show you different people from different niches. Here's a person, your typical mommy blogger, right? She's actually profitable. Look at this. She's earning almost $200,000 a year. How is she earning that? She's selling ebooks. She's taking payment for people to publish on her blog. And then she's getting Google ads on her site. Those clicks equal money. And then she'll sell a $49 meal plan. Brilliant. Right? And if you're in my courses, you know that I teach the idea of a content house. You have to have your brand. You have to have your own brand. All of these people that we're talking about, they do, right? They've invested in their domain. They've invested in that image, putting themselves in front of people. That's hard. That is hard. So this amazing blogger has done that, and she's making great income. I mean, especially if it's just something on the side, which she does, what an amazing income stream. And of course, you have to practice what you preach. I don't think I should be giving this talk if I didn't. But, at the beginning, I was getting paid anywhere from $5 to $10 an article. Now I get paid anywhere from over $200 if I was to sit down and write for an actual client. How did I do this? I learned and honed that skill. But also, something very simple that I personally did in my journey, I kept my ear to the ground. I run an agency, right? I'm in a position where I can listen for pain points and then solve them through digital products. And that was how I built a second income stream. So here's a foodie blogger, Jamie Silva. Her story is actually amazing. If you go look it up, she had multiple ventures that were not successful. And then one day she was like, this is what she enjoyed. She enjoyed to put together tasty meals. She was like, I'm just going to take pictures and do a blog. And she did not expect it would make money. She did not expect. And it was the one successful thing that she tried out of all the ventures. And it was the thing she least expected would make money. And she was actually able to quit a full-time job. She's making $100,000 a year. $63,000 of that was from advertising income. So this is what you can do. If you follow your passion, you could start a blog, create your own brand, take it far. Take it far. Follow that natural, non-linear journey is what I was trying to say. Here's someone else that I really enjoy following. I followed her for years now, Michelle Gardner. She had her start also around the same time as me, 2011, 2012, and her business makes over $100,000 a month. makingsenseofsense.com. So she quit Wall Street. The pressure and the stress was terrible. It was the job everyone pushed her to do. Her family, right? She has Asian heritage. Her family was focused on getting her to do that. And she was very successful. She had a very intelligent mind. She was good at it, but it was terrible. The pressure, the stress. So she quit Wall Street and then she started a blog, just to talk about how she was going to pay off her student debt. Little did she know that it was going to turn into a blog that today has over 300,000 monthly readers. So she's making money through sponsorships, affiliate partnerships, and then, of course, her own courses, which, we hear all the time. I don't know about you, but I hear all the time, don't do low ticket. I completely disagree. Do low ticket courses. They are the ones people can't afford. That's what she does. And that definitely increases her revenue. So I hope those stories inspired you that you can take your passion and you can turn it into a great living, whatever that looks like. And I thought this was important to add. I hope you like my emojis. I am not here to crap on the employer life. I know many entrepreneurs that give talks like these, they are. They'd say, you got to hustle, you got to get out of the 9 to 5. That's not all what I'm here to say. I think if you work for someone that you love, you should keep doing it because that could be your fulfillment. That could be how you end up making great money and have fulfillment, not get burned out and enjoy what you're doing. Of course, that job can come with burnout too, right? Because sometimes we take on so much. We do so much for our companies. So that is the risk there too, same risk. But you can really do either and still have fulfillment. You don't have to break away and do just the entrepreneurial life. So the point is to find your passion, capitalize on it, and build a profitable skill set. Taking a course, getting a mentor, this is your shortest path to get there. You can do the trial and error thing, but you will likely be stuck there for years. And then you just got to get your hands dirty, pick a job, start working. It doesn't matter. Sometimes the pay could be low. It could be an internship, but if that's how you start, right? That is how to get going. That's how you can build that experience. So if you're already here, you're like, well, Julie, I'm in a job already that I really like. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to break away and find my passion. I already know my passion. Here are some ideas for how to level up and get paid more and do more along the way. So one thing you could do is think about taking on a new challenge every quarter. Don't push yourself to do more than that because you could burn out. And that's not our goal. Our goal is to find our passion, chase it, right? Live that rich life. But if you find a new challenge that you enjoy, it could lead to other opportunities. So let's say you're that entrepreneur. Why don't you try launching a course? Think about a pain point you've been asked about all the freaking time. I am sure you know them. How could you build a course that solves that pain point? And it could be something simple. It doesn't have to be this extravagant 7-week program for $20,000. It can be a low ticket 1-hour course that people really need. So if you work for a company, you could ask your boss, you could ask the people you work with, what are some projects they need help with? Is there anything else they need help with? And then if they do, you could take up one of those tasks and time and brain space permitting, every quarter. Don't push yourself to do too much. That's when life is not fun. But that's a great way to learn a new skill. If you can work under a practitioner, if you have a boss, a manager that is that practitioner. Okay, so a reminder again, before we go into mindset, that we do have this worksheet, contenthacker.com/passion worksheet. If you haven't grabbed it, that is a great recap of today's talk with a lot of data that you can kind of just download, marinate on, let your brain, let it all sink in. So grab that worksheet definitely before you leave this talk. Okay, let's talk about mindset. So we talked about earlier that it really takes two things, right? Skills and mindset. You cannot have one without the other if you really want to go all the way to the top. So the mindset of income earning creators is really this. It's a growth mindset. There's a book I read to my kid and it's funny. We read it when she was 1.5 years old and it's called Bubblegum Brain. And it talks about brick brain versus a bubblegum brain. And it's the idea that your brain is stretchy. It's moldable. Your brain can change. It can adapt. It can take on challenges. And it's all up to you, right? It's all in your head. So there's a Stanford psychologist I really like, Harold Dweck, that says, when we have a growth mindset, we believe that our creative abilities, our intelligence, and our character are things we can improve on. in meaningful ways. We can always learn and get better at what we do. I can tell you when we encounter a person like this, especially in our agency, it is beautiful because the abilities they have to take feedback, learn, instead of, we've had a lot of people that receive feedback from our intelligent expert editors and they will leave, they will exit. That is how quickly they run away. That is not the response to have. The response to have is to be open to it. Of course, don't take derogatory language, speak up for yourself. Not saying that, but have that growth mindset, be open to change. So I'm going to hit you with some inspirational quotes because I like them. I hope you like them. They help me keep going and they're very inspirational. So Dale Carnegie says, most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept on trying when there seemed no hope at all. Samuel Johnson says, great works are performed not by strength, but by perseverance. Albert Einstein, anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. Walt Disney, it's kind of fun to do the impossible. So picking yourself up after failure and moving forward, it's the only way to go. It's the only mindset to have because that mindset truly helps you succeed. So here's a couple points on how to have this mindset. Think about, being open to critique, which equals growth. Instead of, this is hard to hear, it ruined my day. This is how I can grow. This is how I can move forward. Whenever you fail, be open to failing, as crazy as that sounds, because that means you will be open to trying new things and then moving forward, which means going up, right? The only place you can go from the bottom is up. That is the good part about failure. Multiple attempts. Be ready to try again. It's not going to happen in one go. And then be ready to also work hard. So mindset is not just telling your brain, hey, brain, get with it. Be open to feedback, right? Have this growth mindset. It's not that. It's also about mindfulness and habits, a setting, the place you work, the place you choose, the place you set up, because a lot of us are working from home, which is amazing, right? We can create our own setting. All of that protects your mental health because let me tell you, burnout is a real problem. There was a study done by Joe Polizzi, thetilt.com. Definitely subscribe to that. It's an amazing newsletter that he publishes every week over at The Tilt. And he did this original research and he found out that almost 70% of creators experience burnout. And that was a 2021 study. So you are not alone. It happens. Burnout is a real problem. So fun fact, I am a natural pessimist. I don't see the glass half full. I see it half empty. I used to call that being a realist, but when I realized that you have to be an optimist, right? You have to keep moving forward. Otherwise, everything you can create may crumble to the ground. You could walk away because you're such a pessimist and you're so frustrated, right? So you have to keep going. How do you cultivate that? That is a mindset you have to cultivate. And for me today, it took me 7 years to actually get serious about my morning routine. But for the last year, I've done this morning routine every single morning. In fact, now I do it on the weekends because it's that important to me. I believe this morning routine is behind 70%, if not more, of my daily success. Here is what that routine looks like. Here's exactly what it looks like. So no, I don't start at 5 a.m. I start a much healthier hour in the day, around 8 or 9 a.m. actually, and later on the weekends. So 40% of this hour is exercise. It's me on the yoga mat, doing what I enjoy to do, stretching, doing some push-ups, following a yoga routine. And then the other 60% of that hour is mindfulness and grounding techniques. And these 4 are the very specific techniques that I actually do. So the first one, I choose 3 things to be thankful for. And what this does is it really changes your brain to go from, being down for whatever the day brings you, which is not always good because the day could be bad, right? And then that could affect your mindset. But if you start your day with gratitude, it really changes how you think because then you walk away from this hour, you walk away from this time thinking positively. You're already grateful. And that sets an incredible standard for your day. I do this on the days that are going terrible. I'm thankful just to wake up, to see the sun. That's where I start if I have to. The next thing I do is I specifically pray over our team, our clients. I used to pray for myself. And whenever I switch to thinking about the success of other people, let me tell you, there was a big shift. It was crazy. We actually saw more revenue start to happen. We saw clients that were like, we can't keep up with the work coming in. So I believe in visualization, meditation, prayer, the power of that. And instead of thinking about yourself, think about the company you work for, the people you work with, the clients you serve. Pray for them. And I'm telling you, it all will flow back to you in a really big way. And then I give my mind something inspirational to read. That's the word for me. And then, of course, I end it with prayer. I just wrap up there. And this is in a quiet place. I am not interrupted. I'm usually outside. I'm on the deck. We have a little farm here in Texas. I'm outside by the chickens, but it's a very intentional time. And if this is completely new to you, I challenge you just to try it for a week. It doesn't have to look exactly like this. You can build your own routine, but I challenge you to pick things to be grateful for. Start your day with visualizing success. Do that for a few days, at least a week. I would recommend. See what happens. That's my challenge to you. See what happens. And I guarantee you it'll be an incredible week. Even, the first few days might be kind of hard. And I'll be real. Sometimes that exercise looks like 10 minutes because I'm tired. I stayed up too late, but I get something in. That's the important part. You start here. You don't start with work. And your day will really improve. So I want to remind you that you are in control. Your day goes as well as your morning starts, and you are the person in control of that. Nobody else. Even if you have a million emails you got to get to, they are not in control. You are. So after 10 years of working at home full time, 5 books out, several businesses started, these are the 3 things I really believe you have to master in order to have a successful life, and not just success in the way of revenue, right? But success in the way of being the best version of you, which is just as important, if not more, because being the best version of you is really the best legacy you can leave behind. So these are those 3 keys: mindset, setting, and nutrition. So today, actually, I'm really excited about this. Today, a course I've been working on for weeks, actually a few months, with my team of producers. I have producers now at the Content Hacker Academy, talented people that help me design and produce our curriculum. So today, this new course just came out, and I teach you these 3 things step by step. I take you through mindfulness routines, how to set up your own. You can create your own routine. There's printable charts in there. And I walk you through my house. I show you setting. I teach you how to set up a place, even if you don't have a big house, you don't have a lot of space. And then finally, we talk about nutrition. You are what you eat, right? You have to fuel yourself well. So those 3 things equal the best version of you. I truly believe that after 10 years of doing this, and like I said, I only mastered them the last year. So maybe you'll do it sooner than me. But this is what that course looks like in price and what you get. You get lifetime access. You can actually enroll today for just $47. I didn't know why we priced it this low, but we did. I think because, my heart is I want to help people. I want to help them solve this problem of burnout because it's a real problem. So the price will be gone in a week. This course is only going to be open at this price till next Tuesday at 6 p.m. And then we close. This is our beta launch. So you can get in today. You don't have to use a coupon. It is that price on the sales page, but again, only for the next week. Okay, so really quick before I hand it to Jonah and Q&A, here is a recap. So I want to inspire you today that tapping into your passion can really bring you a full life. Dream bigger than you have, think bigger than you have, because this was me 9 years ago. I was in a real life cult. This is, I tell people the truth is stranger than fiction because it really is. I can't believe I used to be this person, but I was. This was a different life for me entirely. And this is what I've been able to do today. And I'm thankful to God that we are here. I'm thankful that this is the story of my life. It's completely rewritten. And then, of course, you can read my book on Amazon if you like those kinds of true life crazy stories. So, life wasn't meant to be dull. You can build a great living doing what you love. Remember the 4 L's: find out what you love doing, learn all you can about it, labor, get your hands dirty, and then level up. You can map your passion to a marketable skill set and get paid for it. Blend skills with mindset, and that's going to equal success. Take a course, get a mentor. That's your shortest path to get there. And then just stay committed. Don't throw in the towel. As tempting as it can be, because it is tempting many times. And one more tip for you. This book was a catalyst in my personal journey. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It was a catalyst for me to really change my mind and to grow and have that growth mindset, and to go basically from reactive, which is where whatever comes in your day kind of hits you and that's what you feel. You can actually change that and become proactive instead, which is you going into your day with full control. And again, you can grab that worksheet. You may already have it, but it is at contenthacker.com/passion worksheet. And I really encourage you to grab this new course. It is not going to be this price ever again. It's probably going to launch the next time at 3 times the price. But I'm really excited to share this with you, this talk and this course. And I'm going to hand it back to Jonah.
Thank you so much, Julia.
Yes.
First off, yeah, your story is amazing. I know I've encountered it before, but it's also so inspiring. I appreciate you sharing it.
Oh, thank you.
And before we get in, for everyone watching, we're about to do a Q&A, so feel free to start dropping some questions in the comments there. I saw a couple already, but drop them in and we'll get to them. I did want to ask you a couple questions about this course. First off, I appreciate a course that's set to like how to keep yourself healthy, because I've done a lot of courses or input a lot of information that's just that like work harder, faster, stronger, and kind of that like shame built that if you're not a machine, you're not made for the industry. But I appreciate your approach.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And there was one question very relevant right away, which is the price of the course a monthly fee, or is that just a one-time fee for lifetime access for the course?
That is a one-time fee for lifetime access, which is crazy. I can't believe it, but that is what we are doing.
Yeah, I appreciate, like you mentioned as well, the low ticket. There's this whole psychology just to price higher because more people will buy it, but it's not always affordable. So I appreciate that.
And this course must be affordable. It's like so important for me to share this with everyone, because these are the secrets. If you forget the hustle culture and you focus on yourself, mindset, nutrition, your setting where you work, like you will be this happy creator. It's totally possible instead of being burned out every day.
Yeah. Well, and how do you kind of do? And I'm surprised with how many days I get through without a practice of mindfulness and all of that. But it's not better. Getting through a day is not having a good day.
Exactly.
And for all the viewers as well, just to reiterate, the link to the course is in the description of the YouTube video. It'll also be emailed to you with the replay as well. So don't fret if you don't see it right now, but you only do have a week for that pricing. And we have a couple questions coming in. I also wanted to ask a couple of my own from your presentation, if I can.
Nice. Let's do it.
Yeah, and again, viewers, drop your questions in there. We will answer all we can in the time here. But starting with, you mentioned YouTube changing their pricing platform. And I know, first off, they do put out press releases and stuff, but this information is not always the most accessible. Or it's confusing to figure out how and what the pricing is. So I'm curious from you, how do you navigate balancing your like borrowed platforms, which I would call like Instagram, where you're borrowing space, or YouTube, versus like where do you build that which is yours and you feel like you have control over it?
Yes, great question. So that goes back to the concept of a content house, which, I I'm a big fan of building on your own real estate, which is your own domain. No one
Mhm.
can take that away from you. No one can throttle your reach. Like the sky's the limit. Yes, it's much harder to get off the ground, right? Because you have to build your own audience basically. But that should be, for me, that is like 80%, I would say now, of my focus. And it's funny because this year I thought I was going to be heavily into YouTube because I got monetized last year, but I'm throttled at like 120 bucks a month, which is, not very
No.
good when I'm spending 500 a month on production.
Uh,
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back to my website, and we've done long form content. We've invested more on contenthacker.com and expresswriters.com. And we're now ranking for these keywords that a year ago we weren't. And I can track, $1,000 sales from those keywords. So I keep going back to the domain, SEO content, and having your own brand, because that's like, you'll make the most money doing that. I think in the long run, you can make a lot of money on the other platforms, but it's like, when will you be throttled? When will YouTube change their rules? And it's
right.
crazy because in the last year, a lot of YouTube influencers, Joe Polizzi's study, he found this out. He was talking to several, and they told him, like, we're going to quit doing it. Like, it's not worth it. We have to produce 2 videos a day. We have to do all this stuff to keep up this revenue stream of $1 million a year that they were making. And they were just like, we quit. This is the year we quit YouTube.
Yep.
And I was like, really? It's 2021.
I've heard that from a few creators too, but it's also, I think it's why the course industry is booming even more and more. I see a lot of creators moving to courses where they can do longer form and get more in depth, or Patreon or other.
Yes, Patreon is great.
Yeah. Here we got a great question from Anthony Yao here. Do you think our capacity to be productive or attentive is linked to our interest in the field we work in? And
What a great
he's
question.
asking for an honest answer.
Honestly. That's the only answer I give, Jonah.
I know. Don't I know?
That is really, though, that's a great question. I've been asked that in different forums at my book launch. Actually, that was a question. Yes, the short answer is I absolutely believe you can sit down, because I've done it. I was in nursing school, had to sit down for lecture test, and I had absolutely no attention span. And I was like, I'm really good at school. Like, why is this? When I switched to writing and I was in front of my desk, like applying for jobs, researching the market, I could do that for 10, 15 hours a day. It was unhealthy, right? I had to curb myself. So I think when you find out what you love doing, it's very natural. And that's where burnout comes from, because we love it. And it's hard to step away. So absolutely, to Anthony's question, your productivity is linked to your interest for sure.
Well, and I kind of want to tag a question onto that, because I love in general that your platform is very centered around finding what you love and making that monetizable, versus like, what's the hot new trick to making money? But how do that, at least in my own life, it's been a harsh reality that what I love isn't always a good idea as far as what would be a good platform. How do you balance finding at least the elements of what you love that makes sense within a business versus just beating away at something? Do you have any advice for like testing those ideas, or how to go about that?
Yes. So definitely research before you put money into it. That's what I would recommend. Like, and that's as simple as a Google search. Like, you can start there, right? Google has millions of data. That's the new library. So like for me, I was like, okay, I like to write. How can I make money doing it? And I Googled back in 2011 how to make money writing, and then I went to Upwork, which back then was Odesk, and I saw 13,000 writing gigs available. And I was like, cha-ching, like that's a market,
Yay.
right?
Yeah.
So if you see a market and it's directly linked to your passion, like dive right in. And Jonah, I don't want to interrupt, but Steph and David Walker have a really good question. Could we jump to that one?
Absolutely. The new mindfulness course, you obviously have a faith that is important to you, and that is awesome. Does this course have a faith base too, or is it just also good for someone who is without faith?
That's a great question.
Or without a faith, sorry. To be
I like the chicken avatar, by the way. We
Yeah.
have many chickens.
Love it.
So yes, I wanted to address that question because while I'm obviously, faith-based, in the course, I give you the ability to build your own routines based on what I teach you. So I'm like, this is what I read. This is how I visualize the day. This is how I picture success. But you can do it in any way you want. So you don't have to read. You don't have to start with the Bible. For me, it took me 7 years to crack open a Bible after I escaped that cold.
I can imagine. Yeah.
You may not be ready. That's totally fine. But so that's how the course is structured. And all the printables in the course, we have like, I think 4 different printables. You're creating your own routine. So you're writing down the book you want to read. You're writing down the days you're reading, the days you're exercising. So it's completely customizable. In no way, shape, or form do I expect people to copy what I do. I have people that try and I tell them, don't do it. Don't try
Right.
to be Julia. Julia's a bit crazy.
So
But yes.
it's more about the routine and putting yourself in that mindset versus like literally what you're reading.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yes.
Cool.
It's guiding principles.
I love that. Yeah. Well, and we have to close up here for time in a second, but I did want to ask one more question just because I know I've learned so much from doing these Discover events,
I
and
bet.
it's so valuable having hearing from all these different people. And I feel like the hardest part is finding a mentor or finding the right people
Mm.
to listen to early on. And I was curious if you have advice about finding someone you can work with closer in the field versus like just following different influencers, or do you reach out to influencers? How do you find someone you can work with closely?
Yes, that's a great idea. Great question. So I definitely recommend, first of all, like focus on you, what you love doing, follow that. And then once you know, like, okay, I want to build a blog, I want to make income on the side, whether it's sponsorship, whatever, it could be so
Hmm.
varied. Look for like Google and look for bloggers making money, bloggers that earn income, and look for lists. I know this like may sound counter, it may sound like mainstream and stereotypical, but lists can actually give you some really good people.
Mm.
And if you look at like, let's say the top 100 bloggers to follow, the top 100 content marketers to follow, pick like the top 5 that you personally are attracted to, and then go hit follow. Like start there. Don't start by DMing them, emailing them.
Right.
Start by following them.
Engaging a little.
Yes,
Yeah.
engage. Yes. I was able to really partner up with Joe Polizzi to the point where he's now writing the forward for my next book. And that didn't come till I knew him for, let's see, 6 years.
Mm.
And I went to his events. So I followed him. I read all his books, told him how much I liked them, tagged him on Twitter, a fangirl, right? And then I went to his events and I shook his hand in person. And that in-person relationship, I don't think that's necessary. I think you can do it without that. People have actually gotten me to be their mentor by emailing me. They're like, Julia, what's the best way to hire you as a mentor? I'm like, oh, this is the course that's right for you, and you need my membership, and I'll see you there.
Hey, there you go. Okay.
So it could
Yeah.
be that simple. Email them and directly ask them. Most people are approachable. There's a few that aren't, but those are the ones you don't want anyway, I think.
Right.
You want people that are going to be real people.
Right. There was one more good question from Enrique here that I just wanted to touch because we have time. Do you believe non-native English speakers can ever succeed working online for US clients or employers in the content making industry? And any further advice or success stories you know of?
Well, first, Enrique, is that how you would say it? Excuse me if I'm not saying it right. I mean, look how well written
I
that
hope so.
question is.
Right?
You're answering your own question here. I mean, I can give you success stories where, the large percentage of our team is definitely US based. Cassie in the comments here, I saw Cassie, she's in our team. But we have a small percentage that's, let's see, based in Asia, the Philippines, someone in France, and they are in the top 10% of our team. But that English was not their native language. So it can absolutely happen. There was one person, Enrique, you should look up Henneke Dustermat, and that's hard to spell. So look up Enchanting Marketing. That's her company. She is it Belgium or Czech? Oh boy. I'm not going to get that right. But anyway, she's not native English at all. So she had to overcome this giant hurdle. And I interviewed her because she has this like 6-figure blog and she's known for writing. And I'm like, how are you known for writing when, English isn't even native to your skill sets? And she was like, I believe that non-native English speakers have less to overcome
Mm,
because they're learning and they don't have to unlearn. And I was like, that's very accurate.
yeah. Yeah.
Because we learn a lot of AP essay style that does not work in the online world. And they don't, Enrique, you might not know that. So you may have a fresher slate than some English speakers.
Well, and I'll just say from my experience traveling a bit, Enrique, there are a lot of non-native English speakers that speak English way better than a lot of native English speakers.
Look at his question.
I know.
Right? It's
He's
well
right.
written.
I just did want to tag along too. Enrique did say, thank you in advance, Julia. I got your book, Skip the Degree, and you're inspiring me to change my professional life. God bless. A little appreciation. Love it.
That's
Um,
cool.
how are you feeling? Do you want to take? There is one more question we could hit.
Let's
Feeling
do
good?
it.
Yeah.
Yes, let's do it.
Design engineer. When you write content about a company, how do you know what to emphasize for the content?
So do you mean like a CTA or like tone of voice? Right. There's a lot of different ways. I think I could translate that, but I want to make sure I'm understanding that correctly. So when you write content for a company, do you mean like the format, tone, style?
Why don't until they can pop into the comments and clarify there. Let's assume you're working for a company and writing, and maybe you don't have a lot of guidelines there. Maybe some tips for how to write in the voice of someone else if it's not for your own company. Maybe
Yes,
that's useful.
yes. So I would go and look at their, I want to say competitors, but sometimes competitors can actually lead you wrong. I would look at
Mhm.
like the best people in the industry, so like for me, that could be contentmarketinginstitute.com, smartblogger.com. If I was looking at a leader to compare with Content Hacker. So study their style, look at the tone of voice they're using, and then take some inspiration from that. Don't copy it, but kind of let that be like your North Star. And that can really help when there's like nothing from a client or a company. I consult at the Content Hacker. I just do 1 gig a year. And recently, this company that I'm consulting for, they had nothing. They had like from scratch, right? I was writing the blog, I was guiding everything. So I was like, I'm going to write your brand guidelines. They really needed some. So we just looked at the top leaders in their industry, and I was like, you need a no fluff voice, you need to be direct, you need to have clear, I mean, clarity, you can't go wrong with those 3 things. So for any client you write for, those 3 things could work. But that was how we did it. So if you have the chance, you could pitch them on, can I create some brand style guidelines for you?
Mm.
And that could be where you start. And then that could help the rest of their entire content marketing strategy, which will mean you can even get more work. So, because that's what happened for me.
Yeah, that sounds like a valuable employee when they're offering that.
Yes.
And then a last question, which kind of just rounds it out here. But Julia, where do you sell your courses? What is the URL? Like I mentioned, the course for today is in the description, but also I know you have more than one course. So would you just reiterate where everyone can find you, find your courses, find all of this awesome information?
Yes. Yes. Go to contenthacker.com/academy. And all of them are there. It's also just contenthacker.com, and you can look at the top menu and all the drop downs. We have workshops, courses, and a bunch in both categories. The workshops are just 1 hour, and the courses are anywhere from today's new course, which is 1 hour, to 6 weeks, where I teach you content marketing in a $1,000 program. So there's, whenever I was asked, can you teach this? I was like, okay, I'll
Yes.
try.
But you followed through. I love that. Yeah,
Yes.
and it's available. Yeah, it's admirable. Well, thank you so much, Julia. We have to wrap up just for time here. For everyone watching, please hop in the comments. Thank Julia. Holler out something you learned today. Maybe your next aspiring, what you're going to do to further your journey as a content creator or to take care of yourself and avoid the burnout. We love hearing what you learned. If you like content like this, please like and subscribe to the Discover YouTube. We're trying to bring more creators like Julia here to help us learn how to be better in life and in our content. Before we wrap up today, Julia, can you give us do you have any last parting advice to keep specific to the course for people maintaining a healthy mind, a healthy body, while trying to run a content creation platform?
Yes, yes. Well, something popped in my mind, that I wish I heard many years earlier. Don't stress out. Like the best is
Mm,
yet to come. Like trust
mm,
that, lean into that, and embrace maybe what you don't know. And know, like, take inspiration from my crazy story, right? I escaped a cult. I thought, man, I'll maybe end up making 40,000 a year.
yeah,
Little did I know where we would be today. God's brought me so far. So lean into the unknown and don't stress out. Like life will be okay. You'll be okay.
I love that. Thank you so much, Julia.
Thank you for having me. This was a
Of
blast.
course. And thank you all for tuning in today. We appreciate you
Yes.
taking time out of your day. Everyone, stay healthy while you're out there making your content and build a healthy routine. And yeah, have a wonderful day. Julia, you as well. We'll see you soon.
You too, Jonah. And I think a lot of you are in the course. I'll see you there too.
See you later.
Yay. Bye.